Admiral Kira Patel stood at the observation deck of the United Earth Command Station Aegis, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the approaching Xeraxian diplomatic vessel. After 15 years of tense relations with the galaxy's dominant species, this meeting would determine humanity's fate. The massive crystalline ship, characteristic of Xeraxian engineering, sparkled like a malevolent diamond against the backdrop of Earth's atmosphere. "They're early," Lieutenant Commander James Rodriguez noted, his weathered face reflecting the blue glow of the tactical displays. "Typical Xeraxian power play." "Let them play their games," Kira responded, straightening her formal uniform. "We've got better cards than they realize." The Xeraxians had emerged as humanity's greatest challenge since first contact 30 years ago. While other alien species had welcomed Earth into the galactic community, the Xeraxians viewed humanity's rapid technological advancement with growing alarm. Their empire, spanning thousands of systems, had maintained dominance through careful control of technological proliferation among younger species. The diplomatic chamber hummed with tension as High Commander Vexthor materialized with his entourage. The Xeraxians' iridescent scales and towering height were meant to intimidate, but humanity had long since moved past such primitive responses to alien physiology. Admiral Patel, Vexthor's translator, rendered his complex harmonics into English. "We bring terms from the High Council." Kira noticed the subtle shift in the alien's secondary breathing vents, a tell she'd learned indicated either excitement or anticipation. "We're listening, High Commander." The terms were exactly what Earth's intelligence had predicted: complete technological supervision, restricted space travel, and mandatory oversight of all human military forces. It wasn't an offer of peace, it was a demand for submission. "These terms are non-negotiable," Vexthor added, his upper crest flaring. "The Council has deemed humanity's unchecked growth a threat to galactic stability." Kira allowed herself a small smile. "Interesting choice of words, High Commander. Unchecked growth. Tell me, does the Council truly fear our development, or do they fear losing their monopoly on advanced technology?" The chamber's atmosphere grew heavy with tension. Behind her, the Earth's defensive grid hummed silently, a network of technologies the Xeraxians hadn't yet discovered humans had mastered. "Your species advances too quickly," Vexthor stated. "You've achieved in decades what took others centuries. The natural order must be preserved." "Natural order?" Rodriguez couldn't contain his scoff. "You mean your artificial hierarchy?" Kira raised a hand, silencing her subordinate. "High Commander, humanity has attempted diplomatic relations for 15 years. We've shared our medical advances, helped establish new trade routes, and even assisted in containing the Nexus Plague. Yet the Xeraxian Empire continues to treat us as a threat rather than a potential ally." She stepped forward, her movement causing the Xeraxian guards to tense. "We've analyzed your terms carefully. They're not meant to preserve peace, they're meant to ensure our eventual submission. The technological restrictions would cripple our defense capabilities. The oversight committees would give you access to all our research and developments. You're not offering protection, you're demanding surrender." Vexthor's scales shifted to a deeper hue. "Then you leave us no choice, Admiral. The Council will not allow dash." "No," Kira interrupted, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's unified decision. "You leave us no choice. We've spent years preparing for this moment, hoping it wouldn't come, but expecting it nonetheless." She gestured, and the chamber's holographic display activated, showing hundreds of locations throughout Xeraxian space. "These are your supposedly secret military installations. Your fleet movements. Your supply lines. While you've been watching us, we've been studying you." The High Commander's secondary breathing vents fluttered rapidly. "Impossible. Our stealth technology dash is based on crystalline phase shifting," Rodriguez finished. "We cracked that code years ago. We've been walking through your back door while you've been pounding on our front gate." Kira's voice remained calm, but her words carried steel. Return to your council with this message: humanity will not bow. We won't be controlled, supervised, or suppressed. If you force this conflict, we will show you warfare unlike anything your empire has ever faced. This is your final decision. Vexthor's translator couldn't fully capture the mixture of threat and disbelief in his harmonics. No, High Commander. This is your final chance. Return to your empire. Reconsider your position. Because if you choose war. Kira's eyes hardened. We will show you exactly why you were right to fear our potential. As the Zeraxian delegation departed, Rodriguez approached his commander. They'll attack. You know that. Yes, Kira nodded, watching the crystalline ship disappear into hyperspace. But thanks to Operation Shadow Watch, we'll be ready. Send the signal to all commands, initiate Protocol Prometheus. Across Earth and its colonies, hidden facilities hummed to life. Quantum computers began processing combat simulations. Experimental weapons platforms emerged from their camouflaged positions. And in secure bunkers worldwide, the best minds of humanity prepared to transform their civilization into something the Zyraxians never expected, a force that could match their military might not through numbers or traditional strength, but through innovation, adaptability, and the fierce determination that had driven humanity to the stars. The war was coming. And humanity would show the galaxy exactly what happened, and an empire of order faced a species that thrived on chaos. The massive underground facility known as Thunder Basin rumbled with activity. 3 months had passed since the failed diplomatic mission, and humanity had used every second to prepare. Director Raj Sharma watched through reinforced windows as the latest prototype of the Ghost Fleet emerged from its manufacturing bay. Beautiful, isn't she? The voice belonged to Dr. Isabella Torres, head of Project Phantom. The ship before them bore no resemblance to traditional human vessels. Its hull seemed to shift and ripple, like heat waves over desert sand. If it works as designed, Raj replied, studying the test data on his tablet. The Zyraxians are massing their fleet at the edge of the Arcturus sector. We're running out of time. Isabella's fingers danced across her console, bringing up detailed schematics. It'll work. We've reversed-engineered their crystalline phase-shifting technology and improved it. Where they can only maintain invisibility for short periods, we've found a way to make it permanent. The prototype, designated Wraith 1, represented humanity's answer to the Zyraxians' overwhelming numerical superiority. Rather than trying to match their fleet size, Earth had opted for a different approach entirely. Director Sharma, a voice called from the command center. Priority message from Admiral Patel. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the Admiral's stern face. The Zyraxians have begun their advance. Multiple fleets, moving in formation toward our outer colonies. Time estimate to first contact, 72 hours. Raj exchanged glances with Isabella. The Ghost Fleet. Deploy what we have, Kira ordered. And activate the swarm protocol. Throughout Thunder Basin, alerts sounded. Engineers and technicians rushed to their stations as the facility's true nature revealed itself. What appeared to be standard walls slid away, exposing vast chambers filled with thousands of autonomous drones, each smaller than a fighter but packed with technology that defied conventional military doctrine. They're expecting a conventional war, Isabella remarked, watching as the first wave of drones activated. Big fleets, direct confrontation, overwhelming force. Instead, Raj smiled grimly, they'll face shadows and whispers. The next 48 hours transformed the solar system. Hidden installations on Mars, Europa, and Titan activated, releasing their own contingents of Ghost Fleet vessels and autonomous swarms. Each ship and drone carried a fraction of humanity's new combat doctrine, a doctrine based not on traditional military might, but on deception, adaptation, and controlled chaos. Admiral Kira Patel stood on the bridge of the UES Nightshade, the first full-size vessel equipped with permanent phase-shifting technology. Around her, Crews worked with quiet efficiency, implementing protocols that had been practiced countless times in simulation. "All Ghost Fleet vessels report ready," Rodriguez announced from his tactical station. "Swarm clusters are in position throughout the defensive grid." "And the Lazarus Protocol?" "Active and waiting." Kira allowed herself a moment of pride. The Lazarus Protocol represented humanity's ultimate contingency, a network of quantum-entangled nodes that would allow their forces to coordinate instantly across vast distances, completely immune to jamming or interception. The first reports of Zeraxian contact came from the outer defense perimeter. Their fleet emerged from hyperspace in textbook formation, massive crystalline warships arranged in precise patterns, a display of power meant to overwhelm and intimidate. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," communications reported. "Demanding our immediate surrender." "Send them our response," Kira ordered. Across the battlefield, every human ship and installation fell silent. The defense platforms powered down. The orbital stations went dark. To the Zeraxian fleet, it appeared as though humanity's defenses had collapsed before the fight even began. High Commander Vex Thor, watching from his flagship, felt his scales ripple with satisfaction. As expected. Their bravado crumbles in the face of true power. Begin the occupation sequence. The Zeraxian fleet moved forward, their formation unchanging, their confidence absolute. They never saw the Ghost Fleet ships sliding between their ranks, invisible to both sensors and sight. They didn't detect the swarms of autonomous drones positioning themselves throughout their formation. "All units in position," Rodriguez reported quietly. Kira's voice was cold and clear as she gave the order that would change the course of the war: execute Silent Thunder. In an instant, chaos erupted throughout the Zeraxian fleet. Ghost Fleet vessels materialized inside their formation, their weapons specifically tuned to the frequency of crystalline hull materials. Swarm drones activated in massive waves, each one targeting specific weak points in the Zeraxian ship structure. The perfectly ordered formation dissolved into confusion. Zeraxian commanders tried to respond, but their rigid command structure, designed for large-scale fleet actions, proved useless against an enemy they couldn't see or predict. "Their flagship is attempting to coordinate a response," Rodriguez reported, watching the tactical display. "Exactly as predicted. Initiate Phase 2, Kira commanded." Throughout the battlefield, quantum processors analyzed the Zeraxian response patterns in real time, predicting their tactical decisions seconds before they made them. The Ghost Fleet and its swarms adjusted instantly, striking where the enemy would be, not where they were. As the battle raged, Raj and Isabella watched from Thunder Basin's command center. The tactical displays showed exactly what their simulations had predicted: the complete disruption of Zeraxian combat doctrine. "They thought they were ready for war," Isabella observed, watching another crystalline warship shatter under precisely targeted strikes. "But they weren't ready for this kind of war." "No," Raj agreed, "they weren't ready for humanity's version of warfare." He turned to face the production lines, where more Ghost Fleet ships and swarm drones were already being manufactured. And this is just the beginning. The Battle of Silent Thunder, as it would come to be known, lasted less than 6 hours. When it was over, the mighty Zeraxian fleet retreated in disarray, leaving behind the shattered remains of their most powerful warships. But more importantly, they left with the realization that they had completely misunderstood what humanity was capable of. As the Ghost Fleet regrouped and the swarms returned to their carriers, Admiral Patel sent a final message to the retreating Zeraxians: "This was your lesson in modern warfare. The next one will be considerably less gentle." The Zeraxian High Council chamber hadn't seen such chaos in 10,000 years. Counselors argued violently, their harmonics clashing in a cacophony of fear and rage. High Commander Vex Thor stood before them, his scales dulled with shame as he delivered his report on the Battle of Silent Thunder. "Impossible." Counselor Zewexaray's crystalline staff cracked against the floor. "No emerging species could have developed such technology without our knowledge." In the shadows of the chamber, hidden by technology the Zyraxians couldn't detect, Commander Natasha Volkov smiled. The quantum-encrypted transmission from her stealth observation post streamed directly to Earth's strategic command. Their entire command structure is fracturing, she whispered. Operation Divide is working perfectly. Back on Earth, Admiral Patel reviewed the intelligence with her new war council. The holographic chamber displayed real-time updates from Ghost Fleet vessels scattered throughout Zyraxian space. Their empire is built on absolute control, Colonel Wei Feng noted, manipulating the tactical display. Remove that control. And the entire structure begins to crumble, Kira finished. Time to implement Phase 3. Send the authorization to Commander Volkov. Deep in Zyraxian space, Natasha received her new orders. Her team of infiltrators had spent months placing quantum-locked data packets throughout the Empire's communication network. Each packet contained carefully crafted intelligence, some real, some fabricated, designed to exploit the fractures in Zyraxian society. Release the packets, she ordered. Let's show them how information warfare works. Across thousands of systems, the carefully planted seeds of discord began to sprout. Colony worlds received evidence that the High Council had been hoarding advanced technology. Military commanders discovered apparent plots against them by rival factions. Trade guilds found proof of manipulation in their contracts. In Thunder Basin, Raj and Isabella watched their plan unfold through the vast network of surveillance systems their Ghost Fleet had established. The Zyraxians built their empire on information control, Isabella observed, monitoring the cascade of social and political chaos spreading through enemy space. They never considered what would happen if someone turned that control against them. Speaking of control, Raj activated a secure channel. Director Zhang, is Project Prometheus ready? Half a world away, in a facility buried beneath the Gobi Desert, Director Li Zhang stood before a massive quantum computing array. The AI fleet integration is complete. The swarms can now operate with full autonomy while maintaining perfect coordination through the Lazarus Protocol. This was humanity's next evolution in warfare, swarms of AI-controlled ships and drones that could think, adapt, and react faster than any organic commander, all while remaining invisible to conventional detection. Launch the first wave, Kira commanded from the UES Nightshade. Target their primary shipyards. Across human space, hidden launch facilities activated. Thousands of autonomous vessels, each equipped with advanced AI and phase-shifting technology, emerged from their concealment. Unlike traditional military operations, these ships didn't move in formation. They flowed like water, adapting their movements to exploit every gap in Zyraxian defense networks. The first strike hit the shipyards of Zyrax Prime. The defending fleet never saw the attack coming. AI-controlled Ghost Fleet vessels materialized inside their defense perimeter, their weapons already firing. Swarm drones infiltrated the massive construction facilities, targeting specific structural points with surgical precision. Their response time is deteriorating, Rodriguez reported, watching the tactical feeds. Their command chain is breaking down exactly as predicted. The Zyraxian military, trained to follow strict protocols and hierarchical commands, found themselves paralyzed by conflicting orders and political infighting. Their once mighty fleet, scattered across multiple systems to deal with internal unrest, couldn't coordinate an effective defense. In the High Council chamber, Vexthor received the reports of the shipyard attacks with growing horror. How are they doing this? How can they be everywhere at once? Natasha, still hidden, transmitted his words back to Earth. The fear in his harmonics was music to her ears. Admiral Patel stood on her bridge, watching the strategic display as more and more Zyraxian systems descended into chaos. They thought they could control us through fear and superior numbers. Instead, we've shown them what true technological superiority looks like. The Ghost Fleet continued its campaign, striking critical installations throughout Zyraxian space. Each attack was precisely calculated to cause maximum strategic damage while minimizing casualties. This wasn't about destruction, it was about demonstrating complete tactical dominance. "We're receiving a transmission from the High Council," communications announced. "They're requesting a ceasefire." Kira allowed herself a small smile. "Patch it through to my ready room. And contact Commander Volkov. I want her assessment of their internal situation before we respond." As she moved to take the call, Rodriguez spoke up. "Admiral, was this the plan all along? To force them to the negotiating table?" "No, Commander," she replied, her voice firm. "The plan was to show them that humanity won't be controlled or suppressed. The negotiating table is just where they realized that truth." In Thunder Basin, Raj and Isabella began calculating their next moves. The war wasn't over, the Zeraxian Empire was too vast and proud to surrender completely. But Phase 3 had accomplished its primary objective, it had shattered their illusion of invincibility. "Begin production on the next generation of Ghost Fleet vessels," Raj ordered. "If they reject the ceasefire, we'll need to show them even more of humanity's capabilities." "And if they accept?" Isabella asked. "Then we'll show them something even more frightening than our military might," he replied. "We'll show them how quickly humanity can turn enemies into allies." The neutral space station Concordia hung in orbit around a binary star system, its crystalline and metal construction reflecting both Zeraxian and human architectural styles. 1 month had passed since the ceasefire, and the station had become the center stage for a new kind of warfare, one fought with words and political maneuvering rather than ships and weapons. Admiral Kira Patel stood in the observation lounge, watching as representatives from various alien species arrived for the upcoming Galactic Council session. Behind her, holographic displays showed Ghost Fleet vessels patrolling just beyond sensor range, a subtle reminder of humanity's newfound power. "The Andorian Federation has officially requested an alliance," Colonel Wei Feng reported, scrolling through diplomatic updates. The Centauri Collective and 3 other independent systems have followed suit. "Amazing how quickly the galaxy's political landscape changes when a supposedly superior power shows weakness," Kira observed. "Have we received the final analysis from Commander Volkov?" "Yes, Admiral. The Zeraxian Empire is facing unprecedented internal pressure. 26 colonial systems have declared autonomy, and their military command structure is still in disarray." The door chimed, announcing the arrival of Earth's diplomatic team, led by Ambassador Diana Reyes. Her dark eyes carried the same strategic intelligence that had helped plan Operation Divide. "The Zeraxian delegation has arrived," Diana announced. "And they've brought an unexpected guest, Supreme Counselor Nixtal himself." Kira raised an eyebrow. The presence of the Zeraxian Empire's highest authority indicated either desperation or a clever ploy. "Interesting. They're deviating from standard diplomatic protocol." "They're learning," Diana smiled. Finally. In Thunder Basin, Raj and Isabella monitored the situation through their quantum-encrypted feeds. The facility had transformed from a military production center into a hub of technological innovation, developing new applications for the breakthroughs achieved during the war. The Lazarus Protocol picked up some unusual communications from the Zeraxian delegation, Isabella reported. "They're trying to use our own information warfare tactics against us." Raj nodded, unsurprised. "They're adaptable, I'll give them that. Have the AI systems analyze their attempts, we might learn something useful." The main conference chamber of Concordia filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Supreme Counselor Nixtal, his scales shimmering with carefully controlled iridescence, took his position opposite the human delegation. "We come seeking peace," Nixtal's harmonics carried across the chamber, translated perfectly by human technology. "The recent conflict has shown us that our understanding of humanity was flawed." "Flawed?" Diana's voice was diplomatic but carried an edge of steel. "You attempted to suppress an entire species because you feared our potential. That's not a flaw in understanding, it's a fundamental failure of wisdom." The chamber hummed with murmurs from the gathered representatives. On hidden displays, human analysts tracked the reactions of every species present, feeding data through predictive algorithms developed during the war. Perhaps, Nixtal conceded, but we now offer a different path forward. The Zeraxian Empire proposes a new galactic order, one where humanity shares equal standing with us. Commander Natasha Volkov, now openly serving as Earth's security chief, transmitted her analysis directly to Kira's neural interface. They're sincere about the offer, but their definition of equal still assumes their cultural superiority. Kira stepped forward, her uniform bearing the new insignia of the combined Earth fleet. Equal standing isn't something you can offer us, Supreme Counselor. We've already earned it. The question now is whether the Zeraxian Empire can adapt to a galaxy where they're no longer the unchallenged power. Throughout the chamber, holographic displays activated, showing the extent of human technological advancement. Not just military capabilities, but medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration techniques, and faster-than-light communication systems that made current galactic networks obsolete. We could have shared these advances years ago, Diana continued, but your empire's policy of technological suppression forced us to develop them in secret. Now we offer them freely to any species willing to work with us as genuine equals. The impact was immediate. Representatives from dozens of worlds began signaling their interest, while the Zeraxian delegation struggled to maintain their diplomatic composure. In the Gobi Desert facility, Director Zhang watched the proceedings with satisfaction. They thought they were containing a threat, he commented to his staff. Instead, they forced us to become exactly what they feared, but not in the way they expected. Back on Concordia, Nixtal faced a choice that would define his species' future. The carefully constructed hierarchy that had maintained Zeraxian dominance for millennia was crumbling, not through military defeat, but through humanity's demonstration of a different kind of strength. Your technology, your tactics, your adaptability, all impressive, Nixtal acknowledged. But what truly defeats us is something we never considered a weapon, your willingness to share power rather than hoard it. Admiral Patel allowed herself a moment of pride. The war had been won not just through superior technology or tactics, but through humanity's fundamental nature, their ability to turn adversity into advantage, to transform enemies into allies, and to see opportunities where others saw only threats. The game has changed, she declared to the assembled delegates. The question isn't whether humanity deserves a place among the great powers of the galaxy. The question is whether the traditional powers are ready to join us in building something greater than empire. As the diplomatic proceedings continued, ghost fleet vessels throughout the galaxy maintained their vigilant watch. Humanity had learned its lesson well, trust was essential, but so was the capability to defend that trust. The web they had woven, of alliances, technology, and shared interests, would prove stronger than any empire built on fear and control. The galaxy was changing, and humanity, once seen as a threat to be contained, had become the catalyst for its evolution. 1 year after the Concordia Conference, Earth had become the center of a new galactic order. The massive space elevator in Kenya stretched into the sky, its crystalline and metal construction a symbol of the fusion between human innovation and Zeraxian engineering. At its orbital terminal, Admiral Kira Patel prepared to welcome an unprecedented gathering. The last of the delegations have arrived, Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez reported, now wearing the insignia of the newly formed Galactic Defense Coalition, including the Zeraxian Reform Council. Through the viewport, ships from dozens of species moved in harmony, their designs reflecting a new era of shared technological advancement. The ghost fleet vessels patrolling the system no longer needed to hide, they had become symbols of protection rather than warfare. In Thunder Basin, Raj and Isabella stood before their latest creation, a quantum network hub that would connect civilizations across the galaxy in real time. Remember when we used this technology to tear an empire apart? Isabella mused, watching the data streams flow. Now we're using it to build something better, Raj replied. That was always the plan. The conference chamber at the top of the space elevator represented everything humanity had fought for. Representatives from former enemy worlds sat alongside their one-time victims, united by the recognition that cooperation offered greater benefits than conquest. Supreme Counselor Nixtal, now serving as the head of the reformed Zeraxian Federation, rose to address the assembly. His scales had taken on the white hue of wisdom, a rare transformation among his kind. A year ago, humanity taught us the true meaning of strength. His harmonics carried notes of humility previously unknown in Zeraxian leadership. We thought power came from control. They showed us it comes from adaptation and cooperation. Director Li Zhang, attending from the Gobi facility via quantum hologram, watched with satisfaction. The AI systems that had once coordinated warfare now managed trade routes and scientific exchanges, proving that any technology's true nature depended on its application. Commander Natasha Volkov, standing guard near the chamber's entrance, no longer needed to hide her surveillance capabilities. The former enemies had learned to appreciate transparency, another unexpected lesson from the conflict. The art of war, Admiral Patel began her address, is not just about winning battles. It's about achieving your objectives while transforming enemies into allies. Humanity didn't want to rule the galaxy, we wanted to help build a better one. The holographic displays showed the fruits of this philosophy: joint human-Zeraxian research stations, mixed-species crews on exploration vessels, and the rapid advancement of civilizations previously held back by artificial restrictions. When you pushed us to the brink, she continued, looking directly at the Zeraxian delegation, you expected us to either submit or destroy. Instead, we chose to innovate and elevate. The Ghost Fleet could have demolished your empire. Instead, it became the foundation for the Galactic Defense Coalition. Ambassador Diana Reyes stepped forward, her diplomatic robes incorporating elements from multiple species' formal wear. The true victory wasn't in defeating the Zeraxian Empire. It was in proving that diversity of thought, technology, and culture makes us all stronger. Throughout the galaxy, the changes were evident. The rigid hierarchies of the past had given way to dynamic networks of cooperation. The fear of technological advancement had been replaced by carefully managed innovation. The Ghost Fleet's AI systems had evolved into a galactic coordination network that helped prevent conflicts before they could begin. We stand at a crossroads, Kira declared to the assembled representatives. The old way of empire and control is gone. In its place, we build something unprecedented, a galactic community where strength comes from sharing rather than hoarding, from lifting others up rather than pushing them down. In the chamber's center, a holographic display showed the current state of known space. Where once there had been clearly defined borders and power blocks, now there were overlapping spheres of cooperation and exchange. The ghost ships that had once haunted the Zeraxian Empire now served as peacekeepers and explorers. Let this be the lesson that echoes through history, Nixtal added, his voice carrying the weight of hard-won wisdom. When you push a species to the brink, you might not just lose a war, you might lose your understanding of what victory truly means. As the conference proceeded, signing new accords and establishing frameworks for cooperation, Kira stood at the viewport watching Earth rotate below. The planet had changed too, no longer just humanity's cradle, but the heart of a new galactic civilization. Was this how you imagined it would end? Rodriguez asked quietly. End? Kira smiled. This isn't an ending, Commander. This is humanity's true beginning. We showed them the art of war, but in doing so, we taught ourselves the art of peace. In Thunder Basin, Raj received the final confirmation: the quantum network was fully operational. Across the galaxy, species that had once been separated by fear and suspicion could now communicate, trade, and grow together. They pushed us to the brink, he said to Isabella, watching the data streams connect worlds and cultures, but instead of falling, we learned to fly. And we taught the galaxy to fly with us. The war that had begun with a demand for submission had ended with a transformation no one had predicted. Humanity had proven that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy or dominate, but in the wisdom to turn conflict into cooperation, fear into understanding, and enemies into allies. The art of war, as humanity had demonstrated, was ultimately the art of building peace.